If you have been training consistently, been eating clean, and still not seeing results in the mirror, don't worry, you're not broken, you're just missing the blueprint. Maybe the scale isn't budging, maybe your abs are still on vacation, or maybe you keep self-destructing after a solid 3 weeks. Trust me, I've been there, and so have many of my clients and students. I know it is really frustrating, but I have the answer for you. And no, it's not because you are lazy or not built for this. It's because you are using the same plan that your cousin was using 10 years ago for his wedding plan, okay? So in this video, I'm breaking down the 8 key principles that you need in order for you to get in shape, lose fat, and build muscle. And more importantly, stick with it long enough to actually see real results. These are the same strategies I've used with over 2,000 of my clients during my career to see results and transform their bodies. And those are the things that I've done as a professional fighter for the last 20 years of my career, so I know they work. And if you don't know about me, I am a Muay Thai World Champion. I am a Calorie kickboxing veteran, which I won a tournament where I fought 3 times in one night, cutting weight, you name it, I've been through it all, so I know what I'm talking about. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels and Googling late at night how to lose that belly fat, I got you. Let's fix it for good. Principle number 1 is the calorie deficit. This is the non-negotiable, okay? You cannot out-train a bad diet. Now, I'm not gonna be one of those coaches that tell you can have McDonald's, ice cream, pizza, and still lose weight. Yes, of course, numbers are numbers. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight, but I'm always gonna preach to eat whole food diet. And that's even true, even though your Apple Watch is saying you burn 1,200 calories today, that doesn't count. And the biggest mistake that I see, and myself included, is all day they eat well, but at night, that's when the demons come out. And a lot of us, we're not disciplined enough to stick to what we know is don't eat after dinner, all right? Go brush your teeth, call it a night. But unfortunately, that's not always what we do. So here's the truth. Fat loss doesn't mean starving yourself and surviving on rice cakes and tears. It means staying consistent in a manageable calorie deficit. Not too much, not low enough, just the right number. I usually personally always recommend, either if you're a female or a male, anywhere from 500 calories to even as low as 250, all right? You don't have to go more than that because again, we're just looking for consistency, all right? Something that we can do day in and day out. And I'm not gonna cut one day 1,000 calories and the next day 200. We wanna stay consistent throughout the whole week, especially on the weekend. Experts agree, including myself, that is slow and steady is going to win the fat loss race. Not a juice cleanse once in a while or a detox protocol, all right? This shit don't work. It could work for a week or two, all right? But it's not consistent. Again, this is for long term and for you to sustain those gains, that fat loss that you've worked so hard for. So here's what you can do today to fix it. Drop your calories by only 10 to 25% below your maintenance calorie, okay? So this is easy. If 2,000 calories is your maintenance, right? 10% of that is 200 calories. Load up on protein and high volume food. The ones with fiber, not the ones that taste like sadness. And stop pretending like peanut butter, almond butter does not count. They do, they're high in calorie, and most of the time you don't really need it. By the way, if you still think that peanut is still a good source of protein, you got it wrong. Principle number 2 is progressive strength training. You have to stop going to the gym, freestyling, and having no structure, no plan, and just relying on TikTok videos to get your program through. So here's the reality. I've been in the gym industry for over 20 years, since I was a kid, right? A personal trainer for the last 18 years. And that person that goes to the gym 5 times a week, but yet the body hasn't changed in years? Yeah, and that's exactly what happens when you don't follow a structured plan, and I see it all the time. No progressive overload, no consistency, no structure. Just jumping from a booty band workout to the latest reel they saw on TikTok that same day. So here's the deal. Muscle grows under tension and progression, right? You have to stop jumping from one workout to the other just because you want to mix it up and it's more exciting, all right? I give all my clients a structured program that goes at the very least 4 weeks to 6 weeks. After that, yes, your body will adapt a little bit more, so it's time to change, but only if you are making progress each week. And I've got you covered for the workout. If you click the link below, I will send you a free weekly template for a workout. Exactly how many reps you have to do, how many sets, how much rest in between those sets you have to take, everything, including recovery days. Muscle doesn't grow from guessing. It grows from doing the right thing repeatedly. I would also want to add that it's important for you to log your workout, all right? The volume of it. So how many reps have you done, all right? How many sets? How much weight did you actually push this week, so that you can track after a month, 6 weeks, hey, did I get stronger? Am I making progress? So log your workouts just like you log your food. This is very important, and I have all my clients do that. Principle number 3 is a high protein diet. This is the fat loss cheat code. Yes, we all know protein is important, but honestly, most people don't eat nearly enough, all right? Everybody is different as to how much protein they really need. Personally, I think that if you are on a fat loss mission right now, you should at least get 1 gram to 1.2 grams of protein per pound, all right? Especially if you're a male. A female, you can go maybe a little bit lower than that, 0.8 to 1 gram. But even for fat loss, I really recommend high protein. See, I grew up in France and I've always ate meat, all right? And I attribute that, my diet, my childhood, eating a lot of animal products, a lot of milk, a lot of meat, to strong bones, and just really being a strong athlete. Protein is the most underrated tool in your arsenal. But honestly, most people just treat it like it's a condiment, right? They just have a little bit of side of protein, and the rest all the time, most of the time, is going to be carbohydrates, right? The American diet, real honestly, is 60% carbohydrates, which is, for me, that's insane. The only people that require 60% of carbohydrate might be top level athletes, people that do 2 a day, people like me that spend 4, 5, 6 hours in the gym working out and sweating. If not, you have no business eating 60% of carbohydrates if you are trying to lose weight and lose fat. Those people will eat 3 granola bars, a smoothie, and a handful of trail mix, and wonder why they are still hungry. You have to understand that every time you eat carbohydrates, especially without fat or fiber, your blood sugar levels go up. And once you crash, right, again, you want that feel of being full, hungry, all right? This is just because your blood sugar level is spiking, going down. So you're constantly craving carbohydrates. Now, if you stick to high protein with fiber and fat, your blood sugar levels are going to be regulated throughout the day, and you won't have those crashes all day. So here's how to fix it. I've said it before, but I recommend, at least if you are a male, 1 gram to 1.2, a female maybe 0.8 grams per pound. Build all your meals around protein. The first thing I do, right, if I'm gonna cook, is I'll open my fridge and I see what kind of protein I'm working with. Maybe it's fish, maybe it's red meat, right? Maybe it's chicken. Whatever that is, build your meal around it, and then just add, all right? According to the macros you need and the calories that you need, just add accordingly. Maybe it's some sweet potato, maybe some broccolini, all right? Whatever that is, always build it around your protein, all right? For somebody like me, I'm gonna need at least 200 grams of protein a day, which is a lot, all right? So first thing in the morning for me, it's always gonna be 4 to 5 eggs minimum, all right? And on top of that, I'm gonna add whatever I need depending on my workload that day. So if I have a workout in the morning, for example, that is intense, of course I'm gonna eat carbohydrates, all right? Maybe it's gonna be rice, maybe it's gonna be potatoes, maybe it's gonna be watermelon. Full of water is gonna give you a lot of hydration as well, okay? So depending on what you crave and what you like, you can choose your source of carbohydrates. But again, always start your day with a high protein meal, all right? And listen, keep it simple, all right? You don't have to make it complicated. You can always add some salt, some pepper, some herbs to make it taste better, It doesn't have to be boring and tasteless. I keep it very simple. I can open my fridge and make a meal with anything I have in my fridge under 10 minutes with high protein. Also, here's a pro tip, right? If your plate doesn't have protein, it's not a meal, all right? It's a snack, all right? Also, I do like protein shakes, protein powder, but it's not real food, all right? Yes, it has less calories. Yes, you're gonna absorb it fast. Yes, it's convenient, but do not base your calorie needs with protein shakes, all right? Sometimes I hear clients, they do 2 or 3 protein shakes a day, and I'm like, no. One max, that's it. You don't need more than one, really. If anything, maybe 2 scoops. So if 1 scoop is 25, maybe you can do 2 and get 50 grams, all right? But do not rely on protein shakes to hit your protein needs. Eat real food. Principle number 4 is NEAT in daily movement, which is what I called the secret fat burner. And listen, as a professional athlete, I love a good training session. You know, I love to put in the work. I love to sweat. Man, I had a great session. You know what? I've burned a lot of calories. Yeah, you feel good about yourself, right? But that's not the key to fat loss, because let's be real. Most people who have a 9 to 5, right? They work long hours, they sit down on the chair, and through the whole day, they're not really active, all right? And then they stress about going to the gym for an hour or 2 every day. That's not gonna cut it. I promise you, it's not enough. If your ass is sitting down on a chair all day, you're not really moving, your metabolism is not really high, right? You're not really doing anything, you're not burning enough calories. Just because you go into the gym and you pump some weights, all right, or you're doing cardio for 45 minutes, it's not enough. So I've talked about it in my previous videos. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's simply as a fancy word to just say move your body more often. So what you can do today, all right, to increase that NEAT is definitely walk anywhere from 8 to 12K minimum. I have all my clients as part of their morning routines in the fastest state, all right, if they have the time, of course, is to get an hour of walking or 45 minutes of walking, either on the treadmill or outside with the sunlight, all right, and then get as many steps as you can to start the day. I always aim for a minimum of 8 to 12. I personally am on my feet most of the time during the day, and it's not uncommon that I average 20 to 25,000 steps sometimes, even 30,000 steps sometimes, if I even add a run into my workout. Always try to get also a little walk after maybe your lunch or your dinner. It's also going to help with your digestion, and what it's going to do also, it helps you regulate your blood sugar levels, I'll say. So if you go for a walk, instead of spiking your blood sugar levels, it's going to help you decrease that slightly, okay? So very important that you take maybe a 15-minute walk after each meal if you can. Also, simple hacks. For example, if you're gonna go get groceries or you go into the mall, anywhere, park far away, all right? Force yourself to actually walk. Take the stairs instead of the elevators. All those little hacks will compound, all right? So don't be lazy, and then don't look for the easy way out. Always just be mindful of this, all right? This is gonna pay off big time. I also spend a good amount, for example, on Zoom calls or sales calls or whatever on the phone, and I always try to be either on the treadmill for this or outdoors walking, all right? So no matter what, I'm always trying to get my step in. That way you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, all right? So be productive, and at the same time you can exercise. And listen, your fat loss doesn't need more high intensity interval training, all right? All those classes, you know, Orange Theory and all this are great, but what you need is just simply movement. That's the key, and that's why I'm always below 10% body fat year around. Yes, genetics are gonna play into it, but it's a lifestyle. I move, all right? People always ask me, how come you are so lean all the time, shredded? I have a 6-pack or 8-pack year round guaranteed. I don't even try. It's just because I'm moving all day, all right? Yes, I work hard. Yes, I'm a professional athlete. Yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know how to eat clean, but more importantly, I'm always moving. And honestly, I can't tell you how much people work hard, probably even harder than me at the gym. They still don't see results. It's just simply they don't move enough, all right? Moving around the house, chores outside. I have a yard. I love gardening. I'm always outside outdoors. I'm walking my dog. I'm going to the beach with my dog, right? I'm playing with outdoors, frisbee, whatever it is. I'm always moving. Principle number 5 is going to be recovery, stress, and sleep. And this is what I like to call your hidden fat loss enemies. You can't diet on 4 hours of sleep, all right? Simple, period. There's not enough sleep. You cannot build muscle if you are stuck in a fight or flight state, right? Constantly bombarded with email notification and caffeine abuse, all right? Sleep is the #1 king, all right? It regulates everything, your hormones, your cravings with food, all right? Every time I have a bad night of sleep and I'm only sleeping maybe 4 or 5 hours, guess what? The next day, of course, you feel like shit, right? But your metabolism tanks, meaning if on a regular day, I would burn 4,000 calories, if I only had 4 hours of sleep, guess what? I'm most likely gonna only burn 2,025, all right? You're not gonna feel good. You're not gonna think well. Your brain is gonna make the wrong decision because now it's craving sugar, all right? Your brain craves sugar when it lacks of sleep. So now you're gonna eat bad food, all right? And everything is just gonna go downward from that, all right? So you have to make your sleep the biggest priority. If I had to choose between sleep, nutrition, and exercise, it will be sleep, all right? Remember that the golden rule that I always say to all my clients is 1, 2, 3. Number 1 is sleep. Number 2 is nutrition. And number 3 is exercise, right? You can exercise all you want, but if you don't have your sleep and your nutrition dialed in, you'll never make progress. So here's what you can do to clean it up. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and no scrolling on your phone on social media doesn't count, all right? Phones off, engage at the very least 7 hours of sleep. Now I'm talking about quality sleep. I personally am a very light sleeper. I always try to be in bed by 10 and I wake up around 6 or 6:30 a.m. That's over 8 hours, but I don't sleep all the time during those 8 hours. Maybe it's only gonna be 6.5 or 7 hours. So the longer time you give yourself to actually sleep, all right, and stay away from TV and social media and phones and all that, and then I promise you, this is gonna make a huge change, all right? You have to treat sleep like your life depends on it, because it really does. Eventually, at the end of your life, this is gonna be the difference between you living the next 10 or 20 years. That's how much sleep is important, all right? There's plenty of good books out there that I can recommend to you that are great, and you'll understand once you really educate yourself on sleep, how much it affects you, all right? And I can't stress that enough. It might sound boring. When is the last time you actually dedicate yourself to actually, for the next 3 months, you know what? I'm going to go to bed at the same time every week, even on the weekend, no matter what, stick to that same time, and I promise you this is a game changer. Another trick is to cut caffeine after 2 p.m. all right? You want to at least cut it like 8 to 10 hours before you go to bed. That even includes that cold brew addiction that you have. I get it. Sometimes I'm feeling a little tired. My days are very busy, very physical, very mentally challenging, and sometimes I think I need caffeine. But to be honest, if I do have the proper sleep, I hydrate properly, and I eat clean diet, you don't need it, all right? You only need good nutrients in your diet to get you through the day, all right? But eating smart at the same time, the right food at the right time is gonna carry you throughout the day. You don't need caffeine. Another trick that I use is called bed hygiene. What does that mean? And I talk to all my clients about that is make sure you have an alarm set for bed, all right? So for me, it would be like 9:30, 9:45. That means I go in my bathroom, I brush my teeth, I do my skincare, whatever I need to do, all right? Shut down all the phones, everything. I'll put some lavender diffuser in my room. I'll put the AC on. I make sure my room is nice and cool at 70 degrees max. So I like it really cold, and then stick to that, right? It's very important that you stick to a bed hygiene routine. Maybe you can read a book, but no TV, no blue screen, all right, past a certain time. And I promise you, if you're disciplined with that, this is gonna be a game changer. Like, in my opinion, sleep is such a hack that people overlook. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna spend money on meal preps, on nutrition, I'm gonna eat right, I'm gonna exercise right, but you're inconsistent with the sleep. And on the weekend, obviously, you know, we all like to have fun and maybe go out and go to bed later, and that's not a good thing. If you're truly on a mission, if that means a lot to you and you really want results, you know, you have to prioritize sleep. And I'm gonna say this over and over in all my videos, sleep is the king, all right? The sooner you can accept that, the sooner you treat it like it is the priority, the more results you'll see, I promise you. Principle number 6 is consistency over intensity, okay? Stop being a hero. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see, especially among men, is the ego, all right? Is you thinking that more is better, that going hard all the time, what I call it in the red zone, and not letting your body recover properly, all right, is actually gonna hinder progress. I promise you, I know this as a professional athlete, more is not better. And trust me, I have a lot of ego as an athlete. I always think that when I was younger, more is better. I'm gonna go harder, I gotta sweat, I gotta burn a lot of calories calories, otherwise it means I'm not working out. Now with experience, right, maturity, I know that is not the case. So I always advise my clients, especially in the 30s and 40s, listen, you're not 21 anymore. You don't need to work out five times a week, 6 times a week. You only need a few good quality sessions and be consistent year round with it, all right? I'd much rather do you spend your free time always planning ahead, always being one step ahead. What does that mean? Meal prepping in advance, knowing exactly when you're gonna work out, all right? Having a structure behind your workout, knowing exactly when you're gonna go to bed, all right? What are you gonna do in the first thing in the morning? Instead of being reactive, everything is already laid out, okay? And this is gonna give you less stress in your life, all right? You're gonna think clearer, you're gonna be more rested, you're gonna come to the gym more aggressive, stronger, and making way more progress. So don't make the mistake that thinking that more is better when it comes to getting in shape, okay? In my experience, most people, you know, they have 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks where they go strong 100%, they do everything right, and then they just crash, all right? Again, because they want the intensity, they're like, oh, I'm working out, oh, I'm telling all my friends and family I'm gonna get to that weight, I'm gonna look like this, and then you're taking a month off, you fall off, and then you gotta redo the whole thing again, all right? So I tell all my students at my fight gym, all my clients, I'd much rather have somebody that works out 3 times a week, but that prioritizes the sleep, the nutrition, hydration, supplements, and only work out 3, that the guy who's going to work out 5 or 6 times. Because it's, unless you're a professional athlete, very hard to sustain. And really, I don't see the point. I'd much rather have a lot more free time with my family and friends, socialize, all right, and doing all the right things, and have more time for myself so I can dedicate that time to always being one step ahead. And you might think, well, it's kind of boring. And guess what? Boring works. Me as a professional fighter, I've been training martial arts since I was 4 years old, okay? That's over 36 years of training, throwing a jab my whole life, over and over, a million times. It's boring, all right? It's a simple thing, but repetition all the time. You got to embrace the boring, because boring works, all right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel just because you saw a reel on Instagram. Boring work, all right? Get that in your head. Just because it's boring, just because you're not sweating, you're not doing burpees and plyos and battle ropes and all those things, it doesn't mean it's not working, okay? The same go-to meals. I always recommend my clients, let's get your calorie intake, let's get your macros, get 5 meals that you like, and cut it down to those macros and calories respectively, all right? I love steak. I could eat steak every day, all right? So for me, I always eat red meat, and then I add my carbohydrates and my veggies, and that's it. Sometimes just the same boring meals, they work. Why change it? They taste delicious. Another trick is the same gym time is pretty important, all right? Again, consistency and the routine is what's gonna pay off, all right? Same thing with your sleep time. Eat at the same time, work out at the same time, go to sleep at the same time. You are becoming a machine. I get it, but that's what works. And during the week, try to keep that same structure, just like I just talked about, okay? Again, like I'm always telling my clients, you have to be a step ahead. Everything has to be planned, all right? If you've been freestyling for years and you still don't get results, that's the answer right here, all right? I promise you, write things down, put in your calendar. So I have all my clients, they have their calendar for work, right? But you also have your agenda for your fitness life, which is going to include, when am I eating? When am I working out? When am I going to bed? When am I getting a massage, ice bath, sauna? All of this is outlined. So there's no guessing, you know exactly what to do. And if you follow that plan, there's no excuses. You've done everything that you were supposed to do, and you will see results. And remember that repetitions builds results, okay? Motivations is only gonna build your playlist. Principle number 7 is tracking and adjusting. Stop guessing. Do you feel stuck? Cool. What are you exactly tracking? Most people actually don't even know if they are in a deficit, okay? They assume they are because maybe they eat less, but also what you eat is very important, right? Peanut butter, olive oil, a lot of those foods are healthy, right? But they are dense in calories, so you have to be very careful. I personally don't track calories. I'm very in tune with my body. I know exactly what to do and how much to cut because I've done it so many times, all right? But if you are truly on a mission to lose fat and get in shape, If you've never done this, I really advise that you at least for the first month, track your calories, learn really about how much you truly eat, all right? Fluids including alcohol included over the weekend to really get a clear picture of what you do put in your body. Again, just most people, you know, they're vibing, they think they are in a deficit, they're not really sure, you know, they might eat a little less, and then every day they just dump on the scale and they just get shocked, right? I don't believe in being on the scale personally every day. Some people it works. This is kind of a personal preference. I only advise my clients to do it on Monday morning because yes, on the weekend, we tend to maybe overeat with our friends and family and maybe socialize, have some alcohol. By Monday morning, most of us have to go to work. And so therefore, your cortisol levels are at the highest, which means you're going to retain a lot of water, all right? And you're going to be at your heaviest. So it's really a true reflect of where you stand on Monday morning. And this is why I have my clients do Monday morning, all right? Now, it don't have to be Monday morning, but I don't think you should be on the scales every day, especially women. You know, I really don't think they should be on the scale every day due to hormones. You know, it's just the way it fluctuates. Men too, a woman tends to fluctuate a little bit more. And you know, one day you could be that way and the other day you could be 3 or 4 pounds heavier or even lighter. So don't rely on the scale every day. I don't think this is a good tool to use. I think it's important to track your weight, maybe weekly or every other 2 weeks. So here's the move. Honestly, if you want to track your weight and you want to do it maybe more than once a week, that's fine. I don't recommend really doing it more than twice a week, all right? Maybe Monday and maybe seeing where you are Friday, all right? After a disciplined week, you can get a little loose on the weekend and then back by Monday. You also have to take weekly progress picture. Even if you fucked up on the weekend, even if you party your ass off, all right? Even if you binge on alcohol and food and whatever, nobody cares. But at the end of the day, if you take a picture each week, all right, with your ups and downs and you put it together, all right, do a slideshow of 3 months, I promise you'll be amazed. Track your workouts, not just your steps, all right? Track your sleep as well, all right? There's a lot of tools out there, just like my Garmin watch that gives me a monthly summary of my sleep each month. So I'm able to really track my sleep. And then I'm also able to see, you know, what affects my sleep. Maybe alcohol, maybe certain foods, right? Maybe, you know, the stress. So I know where I stand with my sleep. And then again, the sleep is the most important thing. So tracking your sleep is also very important. And use data, right? This is 2025. There's so many apps out there. There's so many tools that you can use that are free and easy to use. So start tracking using data. Stop using your emotion. Stop using your ego and let your ego in the way and, oh, like, I know what I'm doing. Use data, all right? As a professional athlete, you know, I've had strength and conditioning coaches helping me with concrete data, and I promise you it makes a big difference, okay? And listen, I hate when a client gains maybe a pound or didn't lose that pound that week just because you had some sushi and alcohol, all right? Start relying on the scale and let your emotion get the best out of you and then just giving up. Who cares? It's not fat, it's just water weight. It's almost impossible for you to gain 2 pounds of fat a week, even if you fucked up just for one night. If you've really been disciplined all week, you really think you gain that much fat in such short amount of time? Principle number 8 is accountability and coaching, and which I call the real multiplier. Look, I get it. Right now, you're motivated, but eventually life is just gonna slap you in the face, right? We've all been through this. One day we're motivated, and then the next day is just something happens that triggers us. Stress, work, family, finance, it all piles up, right? During my career in a training camp, getting ready for a fight, I can't even tell you how much stress you have, and people try to pull you different direction. It's very easy to get unfocused and unmotivated, but those things are just noise, all right? You truly have to remember why you're doing this, how much it means to you, and really focus, all right? Ignore the noise and just focus. Listen, a lot of time I would get on a sales call with a potential client, right? Especially men. Men let the ego get the best out of them. And I'm talking about maybe this client is 40 something years old, was a former athlete, maybe a Division I, athlete, and thinks he kind of knows it all, right? But yet hasn't seen results in years. Listen, the best investments that I made in my life, in my career as a professional athlete, was actually to invest in coaches, all right? Because one, I know they would do something better than me, right? And so I invested in a mindset coach before, all right? Nutritionist, strength and conditioning, boxing, Muay Thai, you name it. There's times I had 5 or 6 different coaches for different purposes, because here I am. Yes, I am an athlete. Yeah, I am a world champion. Yes, I know a lot, but guess what? Those people know more about their subjects than I do. So sometimes don't let the ego get the best out of you, and invest in somebody that is going to hold you accountable, that is going to coach you and guide you, all right? And listen to them and trust the process. A curious study, all right, proves that coaching, accountability, and a community is going to lead to way better results long term. And I'm the living proof. I 100% believe that there's a lot of positive benefits into investing in a coach. All right, think about it. All the time that you spend guessing or wondering what to eat, when to eat it, why you eat it, what kind of structured program you should do at the gym, why should you do this workout and then this workout. Think about all the time you wasted in your life. Try to figure it out, all right? How come you're not in the shape that you want yet, all right? There's people like me that have done it all, that know through experience, all right, personal experience. I've studied nutrition. I got certified as a nutritionist. I'm a professional athlete. I've been working out my whole life. I've learned from the best, and I have no problem saying then that somebody can do something better than me, all right? And I see tons of value into investing into a coaching program. And I've learned from a young age that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. If anything, it's the opposite. It's a shortcut to results, all right? So stop guessing. If you want some help, just ask for it. And I promise you, it will be so worth it. So if you're one of those people that is stuck in this cycle of go hard for a while, then fall off, and you keep repeating this, that's not a willpower issue. You have all the will, right? It's just your system is not working. It's a system issue. So here's the next step, all right? If you're ready to stop winging it and you want a system that actually works, backed up by result and by someone who's done this with thousands of people, both in person, both online, and also I'm the living proof. What I preach is what I've used myself, what I still use every day, and what truly works. All right, there's no magic tricks here. All right, everything is simple, detailed, because I know it works and I've done it so many times. So if you do need the help, I got you. Okay, stop winging it, get some help. What you will get on a program with me is personal weekly check-ins, not just a text or a bot or AI just checking on you, right? It's going to be me personally talking to you over a Zoom call or phone call, whatever you prefer. A customized training program, right? That is going to be tailored just to your needs. I don't train everybody the same. It's not just copy and paste. Everything is specifically designed for each of my clients. I will also, all right, guide you with nutrition. So you'll have my app that comes with a meal plan. Each week you have 3 to 4 different meals for each day, all right? Monday to Sunday, 3 to 4 meals depending on your calorie intake, with all the macros that you need, with videos that explain how to cook this recipe and a list of ingredients for your list to go grocery shopping. You have access to me 24/7 on the app. Obviously, I sleep, but other than that, I'm on it. Every time I have a client texting me on my app, within a couple hours max, I answer. And I'm a real coach. I'm a real person, all right? If you sign with me, Mike Lemaire, all right, the world champion, the professional athlete, somebody who's been in fitness for a very long time, you have direct access to me. This is who you work with, all right? There's a lot of programs out there that you sign for a name, but you get an assistant or you get a bot. I want my clients to see the value into the program. They're going to invest into me. I'm going to make sure you get results. My name and my reputation is attached to it. So click the top link in the description to book your free consultation call, and we can discuss a game plan. Even if you don't sign up with me, at least you get a free consultation and I can guide you the right way. There's nothing to lose. So let's build your plan, all right? Get some results, and also having a damn good time while doing it.